Welcome to 10 Minute Testing. I am your host, Mence from Team Mence, and today we are bringing you a 10-minute testing of Charlotte Katakuri. First, before we get into the deck profile and later into some games, I want to clear the air. For the record, right here, right now, this is not, and I repeat, this is not a cheap, blatant ripoff of MBT. First of all, I don't even know who MBT is. I guess he's some Yu-Gi-Oh guy or something, right? And I guess he does these 10-minute testing videos for the new Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Never heard of the guy, clearly. And this is my first video ever in any TCG. So obviously I don't know anything about MBT, whoever that is. Secondly, now that that's out of the way, this is my wife's camera. I kind of borrowed it. Sorry, babe. And since she is a photographer, this is a very, very expensive camera and lens combo. So even though I don't know how it works, and this may still look like crap, this is an expensive knockoff of MBT's 10-minute testing series. Thank you very much. All right, so let's get right into the deck profile. Right into the deck profile we go. We've got Charlotte Katakuri, the first commander of the Big Mom Pirates and eldest son. He is pretty good. So his whole game is trying to do some life manipulation, right? We've got these trigger cards. We're going to try to put them on the top. We're going to move our counters and stuff to the bottom so that when we get to low on life, we are able to draw those. We also have ways of drawing from our life. So if we have like a specific card in our life stack that we want to see, we can just add that to our hand and then replace it with a top card of our deck. So lots of cool stuff here. The other thing that's cool is he gets to basically swing for 7 every turn. So that makes him, auto magic numbers, which is kind of nice. His effect, Dawn, when attacking, look at up to 1 life card from the top of your or your opponent's life area and put it at either the top or the bottom of the life area. Then this leader gains 1,000 power for this battle. So essentially this is like Smoker, but a little bit more consistent because you don't need to drop something down to 1. You can just immediately, as long as somebody has life, you have access to this ability. So it's pretty good. This is also, just quick disclaimer, not the definitive way to play the Katakuri deck. This is my personal way of playing it. So this is just what I like. But yeah, so we've got Sanji. Sanji is a 2k counter. He also allows us to kind of pseudo draw if we do play him out. He's able to swing, take the top or bottom card of your life, add it to your hand, and then you replace that card with the top card of your deck. So it's you have the same amount of life at the end, but now you have a +1 in hand. So it's a true +1 and a pseudo draw. Next card, just a vanilla 4/6 Charlotte Opera, good stat line. Then we have Charlotte Gelate. I want to say gelato, but I think it's like supposed to be gelato plus like maybe latte. She's just a 2/2 blocker, low cost blocker, very good in this deck. We also have Charlotte Cracker. This is the first of our trigger on plays. So this trigger, discard 1 card from your hand, could be any card, and then you get to play it for free. It is the freest thing ever. It's a 4/5, which isn't the best stat line, but it has a pretty good effect with 1 Dawn while you have less life than your opponent. This character gains double attack and 1,000 power. So if you have less life than your opponent, you will go automatically to a 4/6, so you have that vanilla stat line, and then you get double attack just for free. It's great. It's absolutely great. And then we have Charlotte Smoothie. Charlotte Smoothie also is the second or trigger plays. We have the same effect, the discard 1 card from hand, play this card. It has a when attacking effect where you can just add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand and then gain 2,000 attack. So you can make it a 4/7, but it does cost you a -1 to your life. But in some cases, maybe you have Smoothie out and then you have Cracker out and you are at same life. You can swing with Smoothie at, like, let's say a 5k that they have on the board that you want to clear out, like, let's say Zoro, for example. You could use the effect, put you at that magic 7k to be able to take out the Zoro with, or make them waste 2 cards out of hand. Now you're at a lower life count than your opponent. Cracker's effect kicks in, plus 1 daunt of that. That boosts him an additional 1,000, so he now becomes a 7k that can swing with double attack, which they have to block out of or have to counter out with 2 cards. So it can be very effective, even though it doesn't seem like the best effect. It's really good for pushing your game. We then have Charlotte Pudding. Charlotte Pudding is the tutor of the deck. Look at the top 4 cards of the deck. Reveal 1 Big Mom's Pirates type card other than Charlotte Pudding, or 1 Sanji. So you'll notice we have a Sanji. He's a 2k counter. Pretty good. Searchable off a Pudding. And then you place the rest of the cards at the bottom of the deck. Next card, we have Charlotte Sparrow. So he is another discard a card from your hand, play this card. Trigger effect, which is great, but does not have counter, and it's a 3/5. So this is actually like that vanilla stat line, and he has an on KO effect. On KO, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal 1 Big Mom's Pirate type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. So this gets you literally everything in the deck, including himself, with the exception of Sanji and Shirahoshi. So this is a great searcher. It almost always hits. Even though it's only 3 cards, your entire deck is basically Big Mom Pirates. So you're fine. You're fine. Next is probably the most meta warping card of this entire set. It is Charlotte Linlin, aka Big Mom herself. She's a 10 cost, 12,000 power card, which is already good on itself. And it has the on-play effect. If your leader, it has Big Mom Pirates type, which Charlotte Katakuri has Big Mom Pirates type, you can place up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life area, then trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's life area. So this is basically a +2 in life advantage, because you go up 1, they go down 1. That's it. And since there's no like negations or any way to stop effects in this game, this is just a free +2. It's so good. And then plus you now have a 12k body on the field that is 10 cost. So it's really hard to deal with, even with like black or like red. You're not getting past this super easily. We then have Strusen, who is probably the most mispronounced card I have ever encountered. I don't know why I always get his name wrong. I always drop the R or add a T randomly to it. I don't know. But he's a 2k counter. He's actually very good to play. You can on play trash a card with trigger and pop a 1 cost of your opponent's, which is really nice for getting rid of like little chum blockers, especially in the law matchup, which a lot of people I guess say is hard. I haven't had that experience. I feel like the law matchup is like fine, but he helps a lot with it. Then we have Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is great. You never play this card. It is a 5 cost 0 power. We don't play this, but it's if you're familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh, it is a graceful charity. It's on play, draw 3 cards, trash 2, which you don't want to actually pay 5 costs to do, but it has a trigger. Play this card for free. So if this is in your life or you've manipulated it to be on your life, you get to play this for free. Then we get into our other big card, and also one of the most expensive cards in the set. Oh well. We've got Charlotte Katakuri, the character card, 8 cost, 8,000 power, great stat line, and an even better effect. On play, place 1 character with a cost of 8 or less on top or bottom of his owner's life face up. So now a lot of people are doing this wrong. So there are 2 situations. Situation 1 is if you are planning on going Big Mom next turn, then you can place a card of your opponent's on the top of their life, right? Because then you're just going to trash it next turn. If you already have them really low and you're planning on trying to push for game next turn, or the board state is kind of like close, it is usually better to place one of your cards to the top of your life so you can take an extra hit. This is especially true if you have like Shirahoshi on the field, or you have like a Strusen or some other 2k that you decided you wanted to play. You can then add that to the top of your life, That's effectively the same as removing a character because now you get to take an extra hit. That adds a 2k to your hand, or in the case of Shirahoshi, gives you 3 to look at 3 new cards, discard 2, which can get you into your outs or whatever you need for the play. There's so much versatility and skill expression that comes from this character Katakuri. It is fantastic. But yeah, I think a lot of people are using it just strictly for removal. But if you think about it, it's not quite as good for that use case without pairing it with the 10-drop Big Mob in the following turn. Because if you give them an extra life and then you swing at them, hit them, give them that card back, you basically have gotten nowhere except for like it's just sending it back to their hand with extra steps. And that's not the greatest thing ever. There's so much more this card can do. So just make sure you're using this card right. Then we have Charlotte Brûlée. This is a 3-cost 1k blocker. I know, it sucks, but it's a free play. It's trigger, play this card for free. So it's our chum blocker of the deck, and she gets to be played basically for free. Then we have Charlotte Pudding. This is the 2-cost Charlotte Pudding, and her effect is kind of irrelevant. It's look at the top life card of your or your opponent's life area and put it on either top or bottom. So it's kind of like Katakuri, except for you don't get the attack boost. And she's a 2k counter. So in most cases, you just want to use her for the 2k counter. So she's kind of like another dedicated 2k counter. Searchable off of the Paris Sparrow, but because Charlotte Pudding cannot search herself, it does not search out this 2k. But we do have 2 searchable 2Ks off of Pudding, and we have 3 searchable 2Ks off of Paris Sparrow. So this is a pretty good lineup of counters and blockers and lots of defensive options, and then lots of ways of gaining advantage while being in disadvantage. So it's pretty nice. Then we have one of the best counters to be printed probably. We have Ikoku Sovereignty. This is essentially a 2-cost for 5k power. No other side effects, but you don't need it. You're getting 5k. This is our first like 2-cost 5k counter. And it's great. And it has a trigger, discard 2 cards from your hand to add the top card of your life top card of your deck to your life. And that's relevant in the case that you're like really low on life and like you're gonna lose the game. Oh, trigger. Oh no, we take one more hit, we're living one more turn, and then sometimes that's all you need, because if they're trying to push for game, especially like a Zoro or other aggressive decks, and they're going for that game push, this sometimes is relevant to just give you that one last life that you need to survive the turn. And then on your following turn, since they were trying to push for game, they didn't deal with your board, and then you're able to go and push for game back at them. So that is the whole deck profile. Let's get into some games, and I'll see you on the other side. Into game 1. This one is against Law, who is probably a fairly good matchup for us in all fairness. We have a lot of tools to deal with his 1-drops and his board flooding. And he doesn't have a lot of tools to deal with our Big Mom. So this is probably in our favor, but let's get to it. So I see my hand. I didn't have any searchers, so I went for the mulligan, and luckily we see the Pudding. We play the Pudding, and what do you know? We see the Big Mom right off the bat, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. In turn there, he's going to immediately go for Vista. Vista's going to pop her Pudding, and then he's going to swing at her life. Early game, we want to take hits, so we go for it. We're going to deploy the Paris Sparrow and then swing at his life. We're going to reveal that we have a Pudding 2k counter on the top, which we're going to place to the bottom so that it's out of our way. And then he's going to play some blockers and swing at our life again. This one we're going to block with the Brûlée because it's free. And then we're going to counter out with another one. We're then going to swing at Vista with our Paris Sparrow, and then play a Stutson to then discard a Shirahoshi to then pop the Chopper, and then another one to pop the Beige. Just because we don't want him being able to use his leader effect basically ever. We're then going to play Opera so that we have a nice 6k body on the board that is going to be annoying for him to deal with. He then plays a Bonnie, which then gets him a Law, which then he then uses Law to then bring the Bonnie back. So we're all good there. And yeah, next turn, we're going to swing for 7k again, revealing our top card being a Sanji, which we are going to place on the bottom. So we know that we have two 2ks on the bottom of our deck. We're going to swing for 8 just in case he wants to try to block this one with Law, and then add a bunch of Dawn to our Stutzen so that we can swing for another life. He easily counters out of it and then drops a whole bunch of Atama and then a Vista to pop our Opera, and then plays a Law using the leader effect, and then gets into a Zoro. Zoro's going to give us a Smoothie though, and then he's going to swing at our life again, revealing another Smoothie. And since we have two 2k counters on the bottom of our deck and another one in hand, I felt safe to just kind of go for his board, try to remove whatever we can. And assuming that we could get rid of at least one of his potential swings, we can give ourselves 3 life, which would make it to where it would be pretty safe for us to drop the Big Mom. We are going to drop the Big Mom, getting a 3rd life added to us and basically locking in that next turn. He's going to play a Otama, going to Bonnie. Bonnie's going to give him a 3rd copy of Law. He's going to then use the leader effect to get the Law, pop the Bonnie back, bring another Bonnie out, and then search again, grabbing a Capone. Capone's then going to replace the last Otama, so he has 4 blockers on the board. But it doesn't matter because we drew into Katakuri, and that is overpowered. So we're going to swing with the Stutzen. Stutzen's going to add our, or then play Katakuri. We're going to add Stutzen to the top of our pile there, so that we can just have infinite life and lots of counters. He's going to end up blocking with a Radical Beam. We're going to then add the Stutzen to our hand so that he's forced to get rid of one of these blockers and then swing with Big Mom to get rid of another. So we have 3 life. He has 3 swings on the board. We're not scared. He's going to load up 8 Dawn onto his Law in Desperation, which we will easily counter out with that remaining Stutzen that we just added. And with that, he is going to forfeit. So yeah, game 1 went pretty well. Getting into game 2, we have a yellow mirror against a Yamato. Yamato is not part of OPO3. It comes out in the middle of OPO3 in a starter deck. But it is a pretty interesting deck. And I forgot what its leader did mid-match, so that's fun. But we see 2 big bombs in our opening hand. Usually in the mirror, that's pretty strong, so we're going to keep it. We see we don't get anything turn 1. He doesn't get anything turn 1. We see Shariyoshi on the top, so we're just going to go for the swing and then play our 2 cost blocker. He then swings to our live. We get Shariyoshi. We can then get some draws. We see Katakuri and a pudding. We're like, yay, now we can do some plays. He plays Smoothie on his turn. We're going to then see that we have the 2 cost 5k blocker, or sorry, counter on the top. We probably should have moved that to the bottom, but you know, you live and learn. We're then going to play Pudding and then a Sanji so that we can get some draw power going, and then he is going to swing at our life. We're going to counter out of that because it's just 6, and then he goes for the Smoothie play. Doesn't use the Smoothie effect. We take adding the 2 cost counter to our hand. We're then going to swing for 7 at his Smoothie to try to get some board control here. We see that we have a Smoothie of our own on the top, and here we probably should have grabbed from bottom, but we end up taking that Smoothie that we just saw and adding it to life. Bit of a misplay there because we could have just let him hit us and then play for free instead of using that card from our hand. He then plays Big Mom. We're going to trash our top card, which happens to be another 2 cost counter. He then takes out our Sanji and then swings at our life. We're going to just get rid of the other Smoothie in hand to block that Smoothie. We're then going to swing at Smoothie for 7k. To be able to reveal that we do have a Stutzen on the top of our deck. And then we're going to add Shariyoshi to the top of our life with a Katakuri, swing for 5 at the leader because we forget that the leader's effect gives it an extra 1k defensively when it has 2 or less life. He then plays the Katakuri of his own, adding Katakuri to my life, and then swings for 7 at the Smoothie, and then swings at life, getting a Shariyoshi, which then gets me into another Katakuri. We're then going to drop Big Mom, and then again forget that his effect gives him extra power on his turn. We're going to trash the top life, which happens to be that smoothie, and then counter out of the next hit. The Katakuri hit we don't want to pay to block out of, but we reveal another Charlotte Lynn. So this is getting a little ridiculous. We're going to swing for 12k, which he happens to have a counter to get out of it. But we have 3 life, so we're feeling pretty good. And since we have another big mom in hand, we actually grant him life in this case. He's going to start swinging. We're just going to start taking all of them because he only has enough to get to through our life, not enough to kill. Could play that last Charlotte Lynn, and then just start swinging away for 12k at a time. And luckily, he does not have enough counter, and we take the win. For game 3, we ran into probably the worst matchup imaginable for Katakuri, and that is Edward Newgate. Newgate doesn't really care about his life that much, and he kills his own life anyway. So he does not care about Big Mom, and he also plays so many Marcos that it's really hard to gain board control. So yeah, not a fun matchup for us. But we're going to try our best here. With our initial hand, we don't see any searchers, but I accidentally kept my hand, which is a bit of a misplay. We then get a Katakuri. Not going to do anything for us right now, but it might do something for us in the future. We look at our top. We see that we have a 2k counter. We place it on the bottom, so we have 2k counters late game. He then goes and swings for 7. We're going to take that, revealing a Paros Pero, which allows us to get out some board on his turn, which is kind of nice. He then plays the Makino and boosts the Izo to get another swing off, which reveals another 2k pudding. Paros Pero is going to take out the Makino, and then we're going to use our leader effect and swing for 7k at the Izo, and we're going to place another card to the bottom of our deck. He then swings at us again, and we get a pudding, which is going to let us search and finally add not Big Mom. I might have wanted to go for Big Mom if I was doing better there, but yeah, we go for the Stuteston. We then swing for 6k into his life. He counters out with a Marco. And yeah, things are not looking great. It also may have been beneficial there to just go for the Paros Pero and the Katakuri plays to try to get some more counters out of his hand, but I did not for some reason. I think I was wanting to hold on to some Dawn so that I could maybe be able to use the counter and then take less life, which I do end up using the counter here, but I'm not sure if that was the right play to make. I think I needed to be a lot more aggressive and not worry so much about my life. Here, I also make a really bad play loading up 7 Dawn onto the Cracker to get the double hit off. I really was scared of him going for the Whitebeards. In hindsight, it probably would have made the most sense to just try to clear out the board the best I could, or just swing wide to get rid of as many cards as possible, because in this situation, I just do not have the firepower to go for game. Here, I'm going to start burning some counters to make sure I stay alive. And then eventually he's going to have me down to no life and then drop 2 Marcos. Yeah, not looking good here. I swing for 8 to hit those magic numbers. He just goes for the Radical Beam to counter out. And then I'm going to drop a Katakuri to then add to my hand. Or to my life, sorry. And this is basically game because he has way too many swings on board, and I really needed to go for game there or I just lose because he has way too much firepower. I end up countering out of some, but now he just needs to go for a 6 swing, and that's enough to take the win. So our first loss of the day was against a Whitebeard. We did have a lot of misplays, but at the end of the day, it is really hard to deal with Whitebeard if they have multiple Marcos on the board in the first place. So it is what it is. All right, for our final game, we have possibly the best deck in the format. We have Roanoa Zoro. Roanoa Zoro is actually a surprisingly good matchup for Katakuri. We are able to deal with his board quite well, and we also have a much better late game going for the Charlotte Lynns that give us ultimately the win condition at the end. So we will give it our best shots and see how this plays out. I see pudding in my opening hand, so I decide to keep it. He goes for Nami, adding Zoro. I then add a cracker off of my pudding, and then play the Strutsen to get rid of his Nami, because I don't want him having any board control whatsoever. He then plays a Buggy, which gives him access to Fire Fist, and then swings at our life, giving me a other pudding that has a 2k counter. We then swing for his life, revealing a Sanji at the top of our deck, which we place at the bottom, and he's just going to take that hit. He then plays the Fire Fist, discarding a guard point, which gives us a pudding off of Pero's Pero. He then swings at our life, giving us an opera to hand. He then plays Curly to Dan, adding an Izo. My turn, I then swing for 7k, and he is going to get Whitebeard Pirates off of that, which gives him an Izo to hand again. We then play an opera to get some offensive pressure, and then our last pudding, giving us a Big Mom to hand. He's going to play an Izo, which finds the Marco, which then gets played to get rid of the pudding. We're going to play Katakuri to add the Strutsen to the bottom of our life, and then swing for 6k into the Zoro. He's then going to try to take out our opera with the best of my ability. I try to save it, but I cannot save it, unfortunately. He then swings at life, giving me a Brûlée, which gives me a counter, which makes me a little bit safer. I then start swinging at his board to try to clean up before I play Big Mom. He's now down to 2 life. I take a minute here to realize with some Dawn math exactly what I need to swing for. If he takes this 9, then I go for life. If he doesn't, then I go for game, in which case I do go for the 13 and into the 14, securing game. So yeah. Okay, so those are my games with Katakuri. My overall thoughts of the deck is it's a lot of fun to play. I feel like there's a lot of skill expression that you're able to have with this deck. I think matchups are pretty interesting. I think it actually does well against Zoro. I think it's a little bit weaker against Whitebeard. I think it does well going into black. I think it does decent going into law. I know that's very controversial. I've gotten so much backlash online for saying that Katakuri goes even with law, but like I don't know. I feel like I've won more games against laws than I've lost. I've never felt like law was like an overwhelming matchup. I also build the deck a little bit different, and I think I have a different philosophy on how I play it a bit. The way I play Katakuri, I think, is different than most players play Katakuri. Like the character, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just playing against weak players that happen to be playing law. But it's just been my experience. Yeah, so I think the deck is a lot of fun. I think it's top tier for sure. I would put it in the top 5 decks of this format. And I'm really excited to see how it does at like regionals and other large events. I think it's very consistent. It's got just a lot of things going for it, and it's fun. You know, it's always good to have a fun deck. But yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you guys subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up so it hits the YouTube algorithm. This is a return to YouTube for me on this type of content. So yeah, I'm going to try to actually be consistent, stick around a bit. I plan on doing Rob Lucci and Ace at least on the One Piece meta. And then maybe once we get a little bit deeper into the meta and it's kind of like established in North America, I might kind of do some higher meta discussions. I kind of want to focus more on the competitive aspects than anything. But yeah, we'll see what this leads to. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.